The year is 2169 and people are genetically engineered to stop aging at 25. However, after turning 25, everyone is given a year free to live. After that, one has to start earning time as it is now the currency. Consequently, those with little time live in Dayton, the ghetto, while the rich live in New Greenwich. Our protagonist, Will Salas, lives in Dayton with his mother, Rachel. Rachel decides to take a double shift to earn some time to pay for rent and a loan. She gives Will 30 minutes to get a decent meal during lunch hours at his factory. The two promise to meet the following night after Rachel finishes her shift. At work, Will is devastated to learn that the rates have increased. He meets his best friend Burrell at the local club for drinks. Will notices a curious gentleman at the bar buying people drinks and another man observing him. Will warns the gentleman that he's about to be robbed, but the man doesn't care. Suddenly, several men called the Minutemen enter the pub, forcing everyone to flee. The group is a gang that preys on the Dayton people and steals their time. Their leader, Fortis, asks the gentleman for his time and proposes to duel him. The gentleman excuses himself to use the bathroom, where Will attacks one of the Minutemen and rescues the man. The man doesn't need help, but Will helps him anyway, and the two hide in a beaten-down building. Fortis continues pursuing them but relents when one of the goons claims to know Will. The gentleman introduces himself as Henry Hamilton and he has a century on his clock. He's lived for 105 years and wants to die. Henry remarks many must die for the few to be immortal. Will wants to know more, so Henry explains that the rising living costs are predetermined to ensure that people keep dying so that the rich can be immortal. He suggests that something that could even the balance exists, ensuring no one dies before their time. The following morning, Will wakes up to find Henry missing. He finds that Henry has transferred all his time to him and left a note asking him not to waste Henry's time. Will looks around and spots Henry by the bridge. He runs to him, but unfortunately, Henry's time runs out and he dies on the spot, falling into the river below. Will looks down but quickly exits the bridge, not realizing a surveillance camera has spotted him. He seeks out Burrell and gives him 10 years for the time they've known each other. He wants to meet his mother as he has enough time to take her to Greenwich. Rachel tries to board the bus that evening, but the fare has doubled to 2 hours. Since she has 1.5 hours, she decides to run home. When the bus gets to the station and Rachel isn't there, Will suspects what has happened and starts running to meet his mother. The two find each other on a lone road and run towards each other. Unfortunately, Rachel's time ends just as she reaches Will. Will is so devastated by his mother's passing that he decides to enact vengeance on the rich people of Greenwich. Will gets a taxi to Greenwich where he books a hotel suite and familiarizes himself with the surroundings. Meanwhile, Henry's body is retrieved by timekeeper Raymond Leon and his other officers. These men are equivalent to police officers. They suspect Henry had been robbed and killed, and the security footage points out Will as the main suspect. Leon cannot find Will in Dayton, but he soon realizes he's in Greenwich. In the city, Will gambles a century against Philippe Weiss. Philippe is a wealthy banker whose companies control time. With seconds left, Will wins 1,100 years against Philippe, though the latter has over 9,000 years. Since arriving in Greenwich, Will has been stalked by a young woman who sits alongside Philippe in the casino. Philippe reveals her as his daughter Sylvia, and the latter invites him to a party at their mansion. Will arrives at the party and dances with Sylvia, who shares that having many years to live means the rich cannot make mistakes or wrong decisions. Will takes Sylvia skinny dipping in the ocean, encouraging her to start living and stop worrying. At the party, Leon and his officers arrive and apprehend Will for robbing and murdering Henry. Will claims to be innocent, but Leon urges him to not make the same mistakes his father did. Leon mentions that he knew Will's father and that the man hadn't died for trying to steal time but for something more sinister. Leon confiscates Will's time, leaving him with 2 hours for booking. However, Will quickly escapes and abducts Sylvia before driving off. Leon chases after them, but Will escapes after a truck hits Leon's car. Will drives out of the city to Dayton, but his car runs over rails set by Fortis and his gang. This causes an accident that knocks out the two. Fortis quickly steals most of Sylvia's decade, leaving her with 30 minutes. Will regains consciousness and quickly drags Sylvia away. The two get to Burrell's house to ask for time, but Burrell's wife tearfully reveals that Burrell had drunk himself to death and died with 9 years on his clock. With a few minutes to spare, Will pawns off Sylvia's earrings for 2 days. Will takes Sylvia to his old house for the night. He explains what had happened to his mother and his desire to steal time from the rich and give it to the poor. Will makes a ransom call to Philippe, demanding 1,000 years be given to the Time Mission Center in exchange for Sylvia. However, Philippe refuses to provide the years, wanting Leon to do his job. Philippe's wife is disappointed and remarks that Sylvia hates her father. Will tries to console Sylvia when Philippe doesn't come through, but Sylvia reveals that she isn't surprised as her father always treasures time more than anything else. Will asks her to call for help and go home nonetheless, so he takes her to a phone booth and gives her a gun just in case. Sylvia is making a phone call when she sees Leon about to ambush Will and shoots him. Sylvia wants to take Leon's time, but she realizes that the timekeepers carry little time to dissuade thieves. Will and Sylvia take Leon's gun, and Will gives him 2 hours to ensure the other timekeepers find Leon before he dies. The two steal Leon's car and use it to rob a rich woman's time, jewelry, and car. Leon gets help on time and visits Philippe, saying he has issued an arrest warrant for Sylvia and will issue one for Philippe too should he interfere with the investigation. In the following days, Sylvia and Will develop an intimate relationship while concurrently robbing Philippe's banks to steal time and distribute it to the people, including Burrell's wife. The two have several run-ins with Leon, but they manage to escape. Their actions enrage not only Leon, but also Fortis and his gang, since people can now afford weapons to defend themselves. Fortis starts terrorizing the people daily until they reveal the couple's location. Fortis and his gang ambush the couple, hiding out in a hotel. Fortis challenges Will to an armed duel at gunpoint, after which he will molest Sylvia and steal her time. He claims that the timekeepers leave him alone as he steals from his own people, so restoring order is up to him. The duel starts and Will is easily defeated, but when he's down to his last seconds, he turns the game around using a trick he learned from his father. He takes Fortis's time while killing the other goons with a gun he hid on his leg. After Fortis dies, the couple flees the scene. However, they are trapped on the roof as Leon and his men arrive. Will watches the banks raise their interests to compensate for the illegal years in circulation. He feels defeated and wants to give up, realizing that the only people losing in his game are the poor, as only 1,000,000 years could make a difference. Sylvia agrees with his decision to give up and take her part of the blame for willingly joining Will. Philippe is entering his house when Sylvia appears and asks to surrender. However, this ploy is to expose Philippe and let Will abduct him. The two take him to the vault and open it to reveal a time capsule with 1,000,000 years. They steal the capsule, but Philippe explains that 1,000,000 years won't make the difference they hope for. Instead, while the system might crash, it will even out in 2 generations as many have to die to make a few immortal. This statement enrages Will and he nearly executes Philippe, but he calms himself and leaves. The two drive away from the city with Leon chasing them as he has figured out the theft. They get to Dayton and give the capsule to the Time Mission Center, using the crowd to flee from Leon. Unfortunately, Leon grabs another car and continues chasing them. When he catches up with them, Will asks for time as he and Sylvia are both running out. Leon shares that he was raised in the ghetto but found a way out. Since he cannot stop the clock, he has made it his mission to keep the time running. Suddenly, he remembers something and looks at his clock. He sees that he has 5 seconds remaining as he has failed to collect his day's salary. Sylvia and Will also run out of time, but Will remembers Leon's salary. He rushes to the car and collects the day, sharing it with Sylvia. In the aftermath, the Dayton ghetto collapses as people moved into Greenwich as they can now afford it and don't need factory jobs. Will and Sylvia remain on the run while Leon's timekeeper buddies abandon their jobs. The couple progresses to larger banks to steal time and hopefully crash the time system. Do leave a comment telling us your favorite part of the movie. Hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next recap. Until next time, folks, take care and goodbye.